The humiliation. The crystal chandeliers of the Grandview Hotel cast dancing shadows across the marble floors as Elena Ashford smoothed down her simple navy dress. She'd almost declined the charity gala invitation, but her gallery was a sponsor, and absence would seem unprofessional. She hadn't expected to see Marcus there, though perhaps she should have. He always gravitated toward events where cameras flashed and crowds gathered. "Elena, is that really you?" Marcus's voice carried across the room, dripping with artificial surprise. He approached with Vanessa Moore clinging to his arm, her designer gown probably costing more than Elena's monthly rent. "Still wearing vintage, I see. How quaint." Elena forced a smile. "Hello, Marcus. The dress is actually new. I just prefer classic styles." "Classic," he laughed loudly, drawing attention from nearby guests. "That's one word for it. Vanessa here wouldn't be caught dead in something so forgettable. But then, you always did have limited vision. Remember when I suggested you could be so much more? Thank God I upgraded." The words stung like physical slaps. Vanessa giggled, whispering something in Marcus's ear that made him smirk. Elena felt heat rising to her cheeks, not from embarrassment but from the effort of maintaining composure. Around them, phones appeared, social media vultures capturing content. From across the room, Julian Cross watched the exchange over the rim of his champagne glass. He'd been admiring Elena's gallery work for months, attending every exhibition opening. He saw what others missed, the way her hands trembled slightly, the practiced smile that didn't reach her eyes, the quiet dignity in how she refused to engage with Marcus's cruelty. "Your little gallery is still running." Marcus continued. "I'm surprised. Last I heard, you were barely breaking even. Maybe if you had real talent instead of just adequate taste." "Excuse me," Elena whispered, turning away before tears could betray her. She moved through the crowd toward the exit, each step measured and graceful despite her breaking heart. Julian set down his glass, something protective stirring in his chest as he watched her disappear into the night. The father's promise. Elena's heels clicked against the hardwood floors of her childhood home as she let herself in after midnight. The lights in her father's study still glowed warm and golden. Richard Ashford looked up from his papers as his daughter appeared in the doorway, her carefully constructed composure finally crumbling. "Sweetheart." He was around the desk immediately, guiding her to the leather sofa. "What happened?" Through tears, Elena recounted the evening, not just tonight, but months of Marcus's subtle jabs at gallery events, his posts mocking her boring lifestyle, his constant need to prove he'd moved on to something better. Richard listened without interruption, his jaw tightening with each detail. "He made me feel small, Dad. Worthless. And the worst part, I almost believed him." Richard pulled his daughter close. "Elena, listen to me. Your worth isn't determined by some peacock who needs an audience to feel important. But I promise you this, no one humiliates my daughter without consequences. Don't do anything." "I won't do anything illegal," he assured her with a knowing smile. "Just a little research. Due diligence. Now, get some rest." The next morning, Elena threw herself into work at the Ashford Gallery. She was cataloguing a new contemporary collection when the door chimed. Julian Cross entered, hands in his pockets, looking slightly nervous. "I hope I'm not intruding," he said softly. "I wanted to discuss the Martinez exhibition. The use of space in your curation was remarkable." For the first time in days, Elena smiled genuinely. "You noticed the spatial relationships. Most people just see the paintings." "Architecture trains you to see how spaces speak to each other," Julian replied, stepping closer to a canvas. "You create dialogue between pieces. It's like visual poetry." They spent an hour discussing art and design, their conversation flowing naturally. Julian's intelligence wasn't performative like Marcus's. It was quiet, deep, generous. He asked questions that showed he truly listened, truly cared about her thoughts. Meanwhile, across town, Richard Ashford made phone calls to old friends in finance, media, and law. Marcus Blackwood had built his influencer empire on smoke and mirrors. It was time to let in some light. Cracks in the facade. 3 weeks passed like pages turning in a favorite book. Julian had become a regular presence at the gallery, arriving during Elena's lunch breaks with coffee and thoughtful conversation. Today, he seemed particularly excited. "I want to show you something," he said, his grey eyes bright. "My new project. I'd value your artistic perspective." They drove to a warehouse district where Julian had converted an old building into his studio. Inside, architectural models and drawings covered every surface, but one design dominated the space. A cultural center, all flowing curves and natural light, designed to house both visual art and performance spaces. "Julian, this is breathtaking," Elena whispered, studying the intricate details. "The way you've incorporated green spaces, how the galleries flow into each other." "I designed it thinking of how you arrange exhibitions," he admitted, standing close enough that she could feel his warmth. "That dialogue between spaces you create. I wanted to build something worthy of art, worthy of artists like you." Their eyes met, and something unspoken passed between them. Julian reached up, gently tucking a strand of hair behind Elena's ear, his fingers lingering against her cheek. The moment stretched, full of possibility, until Elena's phone buzzed insistently. Her father's message was brief. "Found something significant. Come home." In Richard's study, documents spread across the desk told a damning story. Marcus Blackwood's luxury lifestyle wasn't funded by legitimate sponsorships. He'd been embezzling from his business partners, creating fake invoices, dodging taxes for years. Even Vanessa didn't know she was dating a house of cards. "I've contacted the appropriate authorities," Richard explained calmly, "and sent anonymous tips to several journalists who verify their sources thoroughly. The truth will come out naturally, legally, and completely." Elena stared at the evidence. Part of her felt vindicated, but mostly she just felt free. Marcus's opinion had never mattered. His cruelty said everything about him and nothing about her. "Thank you, Dad," she whispered. "But I think I've already moved past him." Richard smiled, noting the soft glow in his daughter's expression. Someone new. Elena's blush told him everything. The fall and the rise. The scandal broke on a Tuesday morning. Financial news sites reported fraud investigations. Social media exploded with evidence of Marcus Blackwood's fabricated lifestyle. Sponsors dropped him within hours. By afternoon, Vanessa Moore posted a tearful video announcing their breakup, claiming she'd been deceived like everyone else. Elena read the news without satisfaction or bitterness, just a quiet sense of justice. Marcus had destroyed himself through his own choices. Her father had simply helped the truth find daylight. That evening, Julian called. "I know this might be terrible timing, but would you have dinner with me? Not at a restaurant. I have something special planned." "Yes," Elena answered without hesitation. Julian picked her up at sunset, driving to a building downtown she recognized as one of his renovation projects. They took the elevator to the rooftop, and Elena gasped. He'd transformed the space into an intimate dining area, string lights casting warm glows, the city skyline painting the horizon in oranges and purples. "I designed this rooftop garden as part of the building's restoration," Julian explained nervously. "But tonight, I designed it for you." They sat at a small table set with simple elegance. Over dinner, conversation flowed like wine, childhood dreams, creative frustrations, hopes for the future. Julian talked about building structures that honored human connection. Elena shared her vision of making art accessible to everyone, not just elite collectors. "Elena," Julian said softly as dessert appeared, "I need to tell you something. I've admired you for months. Not just your talent, but your kindness, your integrity, the way you see beauty in quiet things. Watching Marcus treat you that way, it made me realize I couldn't stay silent anymore." He reached across the table, taking her hand. "You deserve someone who sees your light, who celebrates it rather than trying to dim it. I'd like to be that person, if you'll let me." Elena's eyes shimmered with tears, but these were different, tears of joy, of healing, of new beginnings. "I'd like that very much." Julian stood, pulling her gently to her feet. Under the stars and string lights, he cupped her face tenderly, giving her time to pull away. Instead, Elena rose on her toes, closing the distance between them. Their first kiss was soft, sweet, full of promise, everything Marcus had never been. New beginnings. 6 months transformed everything. Marcus Blackwood faced fraud charges and faded into obscurity, his carefully constructed image revealed as nothing but expensive filters and borrowed money. Elena occasionally saw updates about his legal troubles but felt only distant pity. His opinions, once so crushing, now seemed absurd, like giving power to a shadow. The Ashford Gallery flourished. Elena's reputation as a curator grew, attracting serious collectors and emerging artists alike. She'd found her voice, confident in her vision without needing external validation. But the real transformation happened in her heart. Julian had become her partner in every sense, challenging her creatively, supporting her dreams, loving her with steady devotion. They attended gallery openings and architectural conferences together. He taught her to see the bones of buildings, she taught him to see the soul in paintings. Their relationship was built on mutual respect, shared laughter, and quiet moments that meant everything. One Sunday morning, they sat in Elena's apartment, sunlight streaming through windows, her head resting on his shoulder as they sketched ideas for a collaborative project, an art center Julian would design specifically for Elena's curatorial vision. "Do you ever regret it?" Julian asked softly. "The time with Marcus?" Elena considered this. "No. It taught me what I didn't want. It taught me to value people who see the real me. It taught me that my father would move mountains for my happiness. And it led me to you." She turned to face him, tracing his jawline with gentle fingers. "You love me for who I am, not who you want me to become. That's everything." Julian kissed her forehead, her nose, finally her lips. "You're already everything," he whispered against her mouth. Across town, Richard Ashford met with his financial advisors, secretly establishing an arts foundation in Elena's name. He'd protected his daughter, as any father would. But what brought him true joy was seeing her discover she'd never needed protecting, only the space to recognize her own strength. Elena had learned that true power isn't loud or cruel. It's quiet dignity. It's choosing kindness when bitterness would be easier. It's letting go of people who diminish you and embracing those who celebrate you. Marcus had tried to make her feel small, but he'd actually given her a gift, the clarity to recognize real love when it finally arrived.